sure the Facebook is good there. I don't know why this thing is acting weird, but okay, here we go. I want to make sure we get a nice live stream going. Okay. All right, so we got one more person joining. And of course, this is recorded, so just keep that in mind. This is something we like to record for everyone to be able to refer back to. So let me get this here. All right. Here we go. All right, so with that being said, let me go ahead and start the recording. And apologies for the delay once again. But welcome to the Chicago Urban League class where we talk about building business credit. So today we're basically going to talk about accounting for your money. That's the name of the presentation essentially, where we're going to talk about how to build business credit, different business credit sources, how to leverage personal credit into business credit. So that's another big thing. One thing to keep in mind is that in order to get business credit, you ultimately have to make sure that you have decent personal credit. So not only do you want to build a business credit profile, but you want to make sure your personal credit is right, because in order to get business credit, you have to have either your credit down packed or you have to find somebody else who has credit. As a matter of fact, that's how I got started when it comes to the business credit world. So today is called Accounting for Your Money is the title of the slides, but we call this How to Build Business Credit. For those who are joining, welcome. Right, we're talking today about building business credit. We're live today with the Chicago Urban League on our Zoom platform. We have a Zoom that we have going that has all the slides, recordings, everything like that. Then to my right, we have Facebook. We got Facebook Live going. Shout out to the Facebook listeners. And then we also have Instagram. And apologies for the delay once again. We just left the closing that took way longer than expected, but just thankfully that it was actually done. What needed to get done got done, basically. Right? So that's one thing we're all about, is we're all about taking care of business. So just a brief agenda. We'll introduce some personal financial management software for you guys. And then we'll explore various softwares that you can utilize in order to make sure your credit is right. Personal credit. We'll start with personal credit first. Then we'll go into business credit. I'll show you the software to use for business credit. And then we'll go into 3 apps. We got Wave, FreshBooks, and then QuickBooks. We'll talk about the pros and cons of each of the software. Right? This is what you'll use to track your money throughout the year as a business owner. And then once we do that, we ultimately want to make sure that we talk about methods for submitting invoices and getting paid. Getting paid is the name of the game. So we'll talk through that. For those on the Zoom, we always love seeing your beautiful faces. If you can, get on camera, great. If not, no worries, no harm, no foul. Throughout this entire talk, you can feel free to ask me any questions that you want. Right, so ask me as many questions as you want, and let me make sure that we have our charging station going here. Just make sure of that. Yeah, we like to make sure that we're fully charged, right? We're keeping track of time and everything like that. So let me make sure that we have our timer ready. As a matter of fact, yeah, we're good on that. Yeah, we have, I always forget sometimes these watches, Sometimes I forget that you can actually tell time on watches. The irony, right? So with that being said, let me just briefly reintroduce myself for those who don't know. My name is Jeff Badu. I'm a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises, LLC, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. What we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including my marquee company, which is Badu Tax Services. And that's the firm that does tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation for individuals and businesses across all 50 states in the U.S. And we also have clients in over 20 countries now at the moment. On top of that, I am also a real estate investor through Badu Investments LLC, which is a real estate investment company that invests in multifamily apartment buildings, rental properties on the south side of Chicago in efforts to restore traditionally underserved communities, right? And provide better housing, better management, and everything like that. For example, we just closed on our 25-unit building today, which the closing took about 3 hours. I thought it was going to take an hour, but it actually took 3 hours. But we got the job done. The building is on our possession now. And along with that, we basically currently oversee, we have control over, I should say, 118 units now actively. Along with that, we have our Badu Foundation, which you may have heard on the news, that we provide financial literacy education to the youth and anyone who's experiencing homelessness. This summer, so starting next month, we'll be doing our financial literacy program for the youth, teaching them on topics such as budgeting, saving, investing, and scholarships. Youth ages 6 to 18 who reside in low-income communities. And so we'll be putting them through a Zoom, right, for a month. It's basically each Saturday in June, and we'll be meeting for 2 hours to teach them about financial literacy. And the nice thing is they get a scholarship at the end if and only if they show up and they successfully complete the program. My purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. For those who may have been driving, may have gotten distracted for a second, let me just repeat that real quick. My purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. Why are we talking today? Why are we talking now? Is because of the fact that we're giving you resources how to go out and get business credit, how to go out and find money for your business in order to create an abundant lifestyle. Part of creating an abundant lifestyle involves creating an abundant business. So with that, I do want to basically give you information that is going to help you build business credit. So let's go to the next slide here. So the first thing is you must always keep track of the money in your business. Always. And what happens if you don't keep track of the money in your business? You don't have a business, you have what's called a hobby. So always keep that in mind. If you're running a business right now or you're about to run a business and you can't actively keep track of your money, meaning if somebody asks you, how much revenue did you earn in the month of April? And you can't answer that definitively, right? Or reference something real quick, then that's a problem. That's a big problem. Because now it's like, okay, you don't fully understand your own business. Meaning you don't understand the financials behind your business. That's a problem, right? Even if you have an accountant on your team, by the way, at a minimum, that accountant should be providing you the number so that you know, as a matter of fact, you should have visibility over that number so that you know how you're performing. It's your business. It's not the accountant's business. It is your business. So you have to keep track of the money, no matter what. So that's one thing I always advise business owners to do. Please stay proactive in tracking this stuff. You don't have to be the one to do the day-to-day bookkeeping entries or anything like that. That's what a bookkeeper is hired for. However, you should be able to say that you basically, here's what you should be able to do. If somebody asks you the question, how much revenue did you earn in your business in the month of X? Even if you got to pull a report, say, hey, real quick, let me just pull a report. That's fine, right? But the problem is if you're not able to do that or if you don't know that number, that's a big problem, especially your revenue number. I mean, it's such a simple, basic number. It's one number, basically, for most businesses, just one number. How much revenue did you earn in the month of X? I earned X. It's real simple. We're not asking for your expenses or anything like that, although you should be keeping track of your expenses. But I'm talking about the top line number, the thing that puts money in your bank and your food on your table every single day. So always keep that in mind. If somebody asks you the question, how much money did you earn in the month of X? You should be able to answer that question. You should. Personally, you should be able to answer the question too. Right? So a lot of the stuff that we talk about today do involve business. Yes, it's mainly for business, but we're talking more, it can also apply to your personal finances as well. So just keep that in mind. I really hope you take that advice really, really seriously, because it's very important. It's something that I see business owners struggling with, where they can't definitively say, hey, I made this amount. We spent this amount. Right? This was my profit. This was my net loss. And trust me, I know COVID, we're sort of getting away. Hopefully the pandemic will be behind us, hopefully after this year. But let COVID be something that warned you in a way, or reminded you of how important it is to really know your finances like the back of your hand. A lot of businesses went out of business due to COVID-19. Thank God for PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loans, stimulus checks, unemployment. Thank God for those things. All right, because without that, more businesses will be out of business. But my advice to you is, don't let COVID be something that just goes by without teaching you a lesson about your business. You must, I repeat, you must be able to keep track of the money. I can't stress this point enough. Yeah, go ahead, Bernita. Yeah, 9 out of 10 small businesses, correct. Great question, Bernita. Bernita asked the trillion dollar question of the day. She literally asked the $1 trillion question of the day. And that, why are businesses not tracking the money? Well, the reason why is, for one, business owners tend to get too busy, right? I always find it funny, by the way. But business owners get too busy to track their own finances, to track their own progress of the business. Why? Because business owners are 90% tactical, 10% strategic. 90% tactical, meaning they do the day-to-day stuff all day, every day. They're making the bagels. They're doing everything. They're doing the bagels. They're doing they're doing everything all by themselves. They're so busy in the day-to-day, the tactical, right? The minutia of the business. Working in the business, not on the business, basically. Another way to put it. Shout out to the E-Myth Revisited, by the way. You guys should read the book if you're an entrepreneur who's really looking to make it. Basically, most business owners work in the business as opposed to on the business. Why? Because they don't have the mindset, the abundant mindset to say that, hey, let me go hire this person. Yes, they will cost me money, but understand that I'm making an investment in the person. I'm going to go out and get a loan to fund this person because this person is going to help me make more money. So the number one reason to Bernita's question is the $1 trillion question. I kid you not. It's the $1 trillion question. Why are most small businesses struggling and not tracking their money? It's real simple. Because they're so bogged down with the day-to-day stuff in the business, working in the business as opposed to on the business, when it should be the other way around. You should be working 80% on the business, 20% in the business. 80% strategic, looking at the finances, being the CEO, the true boss of the business, as opposed to being the day-to-day person, right? So to answer the question directly, the reason why most small businesses are struggling or failing. 9 out of 10 small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Then another 9 out of 10 fail 5 years after that. Which means basically 1 out of 100 businesses succeed, right? Become successful within 10 years. Because the business owner is so focused working in the business, not on the business. And it's part of the scarcity mindset that, you know, some of us have been sort of, nobody's born with a scarcity mindset, but it's what we've been around. That's all we know, basically. Shout out to Jerry Tolliver, who's been listening, by the way. And she's very good with business credit, by the way, if you guys need somebody for that. So with that, I mean, that's really the answer. Bernita, does that answer your question? Okay, we're getting somewhere. Right? We're getting somewhere today. I appreciate the honesty. Bernita says, yeah, she's too in the business. Right? There's got to be some delegation. There's got to be something. Yes, some of these things cost money. And my job today is to help you alleviate some of that stress when it comes to the money side of things. Yes, you can do some of this stuff on your own, right? And I do challenge you to get some knowledge of some of this stuff. Some knowledge, some education, because even if you pass it to somebody else and you don't know anything about it, well, how effective is that going to be for you? So this is why we're here today. I'm glad you guys joined, so that you can learn a thing or two about money, about finances, about business credit. So basically, to get away from the whole working in the business and not on the business, you've got to, first and foremost, get a team, right? Delegate some stuff to people. Teach somebody. Learn it yourself. Become the master of your art. Become the master of your craft. Teach it to somebody. And then see what they can do with it. We started our firm, Badu Tax Services, in 2016. Made $957 in revenue in 2016. You know, this year we're on track for $3 million. How do we jump from $957 to $3 million? It's real simple. We built a team. We stopped working in the business and more on the business. We train like crazy. And we tracked our finances too. There's no way that I would have known those numbers without actually being in the books of the company. Even if I had a bookkeeper, by the way. So with that being said, you've got to really pay attention to your business. If you can't keep track of the money, you don't have a business, you have what's called a hobby. Right? If you can't keep track of the money, you don't have what's called a business, you have what's called a hobby. Nothing wrong with a hobby, by the way, but if you're talking about a business, you're talking about Apple, you're talking about Microsoft, I challenge you to look at your business abundantly as if you were Apple, as if you were Microsoft. I mean, just look at that. Apple comes out with reports every month. The CEO probably reviews the finances minimum monthly basis, minimum, which is how often you should be reviewing your finances. As a matter of fact, you should be reviewing your finances on a weekly basis. Weekly basis. You know, so always keep that in mind. Track the money. It's very important to track the money. There's other components of the business you want to track too, but the money part, you've got to get down right, for sure. All right, so let me get off that soap opera and let's talk about some various tools you can use to stay on track. First of all, we have Credit Karma. Credit Karma is more of a personal credit tool. It's not a business credit tool. So I repeat, it is not a business credit tool. However, I like Credit Karma because it does help you keep track of your credit score. For one, it gives you transparency, and transparency is very important. It allows you to see what you qualify for. You know, so you get a chance to see, hey, you qualify for these cards. You have high approval odds of these cards. Then one of the pros is that it's free. First of all, it's free software. You can download it. It's free. They make their money off your data. Nothing wrong with that, by the way, right? Abundance mindset. Somebody's going to make money off you at some point in life. But it's an exchange. It's a trade-off. They're giving you transparency, a view to see what you qualify for in order to ultimately see how you can improve your credit, first of all, and what the score is. One thing I would say is don't focus too much on your credit score. Focus on the credit report. Focus on the content in your credit score. Or I'm sorry, your credit report. Your score, you can have a lot of different credit scores, right? A lot of different credit scores. But the report tells the story. The report, the contents of the report is the most important part. With Credit Karma, it allows you to avoid applying for something you don't necessarily even qualify for. So I really love Credit Karma for that. You know, they have the mobile app. They have the online version as well on your computer. Another benefit, it's very easy to use. Very, very easy. You may need to verify your identity, of course, when you sign up. So it's very easy. All right. So let's see here. So somebody made a comment. I mean to go with to build you business credit. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Some of the cons of Credit Karma is that it's not always up to date. So your credit score refreshes every 7 days or so, unless somebody does like a credit pull, you know, a hard inquiry. And then another thing too, somebody that needs to be, sure we got that, okay. All right, so another thing too is the tax, so I would say don't even use the tax component, especially if you're a business owner. I believe you can only do 1040s, very, very simple 1040s on a tax section of Credit Karma. And it also only has 2 credit scores. So it only has TransUnion, Equifax, and there's no Experian. Now you could go to Experian.com, download the app for free, and look at your Experian credit score. So that's the loophole behind that. You always have to find loopholes, by the way. Now this is very important. By the way, if you've ever read this book, Infinite Expansion, How to Infinitely Expand Your Vision of Abundance. One of the 12 steps to creating an abundant lifestyle is to always make sure you're taking notes whenever you're listening to important information. Always take notes. Ask questions, take notes, ask questions, take notes. Because that's the only way you'll retain what you're listening to. And I challenge you not to listen just to listen, but to listen to actually learn, to listen to actually retain information. Because if you're listening just to listen, it goes from one ear to the other ear, then you're just wasting time, basically. You know, so I challenge you to, take this information in, soak it all in, take notes. That's the only way you'll really retain it. And me personally, that's how I learned. I mean, I didn't start my financial literacy journey until, to be honest, 2015. 2015 was when I got really serious about financial literacy. So always keep that in mind. So there's 5 components to a person's personal credit score. 5 components. The first one is payment history, which is the most important component. The second one is credit card utilization. Then the third one is derogatory remarks. Stay away from those, please. The fourth one is inquiries, hard inquiries to be exact. Then the last one is total accounts. All right. So basically, I'll go through these on a slide. You're just going to see the words. Usually on my slides, I don't put a whole lot of stuff because I want you to focus and listen to the information as opposed to being too bogged down on the contents of the slides, basically. So payment history, it just shows, hey, you made on-time payments, right? You have a student loan, you're paying it on time. You get the bill, pay it on time. My advice for you is to put things on auto pay. Put it on auto pay. Yes, things may get declined and, you may get an overdraft and all that, but it's much better to get an overdraft on a debt than to not pay it at all or pay it late. Go 30 days more or go over 30 days and be late on that. All right, so On-time payments. As long as you made payments within 30 days of the due date, and I challenge you to make it by the due date, it will be considered an on-time payment. So credit card debt, student loan debt, mortgage, car note, whatever it is, just make sure you pay your stuff on time. Very important. So that one is actually the biggest one. It's about 35% or so of your credit score. Next is credit card utilization. So let's say you went out and got a Chase Ink. I'm sorry, not a Chase Ink, but a Chase Freedom. Chase Freedom credit card, which is one of the personal credit cards out there. You got the limit for $1,000. Let's keep it real simple. Then you spend $500 on the card by the end of the statement date. So that means you have a 50% utilization. 500 divided by 1,000 equals 50%. Try to keep your utilization below 30%, and if you can, keep it below 10%, because this has a big impact on your credit score. By the way, no credit, in my opinion, is bad credit. Right? No credit is bad credit, in my opinion. So you've got to build history. Get a credit card, right? If you don't have a credit card, get one, and only one. Right? Get one and only one. Use it, swipe it, pay it. Swipe it, pay it. Swipe it, pay it. Get in that habit. Don't swipe it, leave it, swipe it, leave it. Next thing you know, it builds up a balance. Now you're maxed out. I've been maxed out on credit cards before, personally. Right? Not too long ago, by the way. I've been maxed out. I know what it means to have a poor credit score because you're maxed out on all your cards. Who's going to trust you with money at that point? It's like you're maxed out on every single card, you know? So make sure you're paying off your cards frequently, monthly, because that's how you're going to build your credit. Next is derogatory marks, bankruptcies, judgments, liens, except for tax liens, by the way. But don't mess with the IRS. That's my advice there. So you got bankruptcies, judgments, collections, not a bad one. Try to stay away from those. You get a medical bill, don't just look at it, right? Pay it. If you don't have the money, call them and set up a payment plan. Get options, right? Get some payment options going. Do not just stare at the bill or just toss it and throw it away. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. Don't just toss the bill and hope and pray it gets paid off, right? Because the moment a bill goes delinquent, it goes into what's called collections. When you're in collections, now it hits your credit report, and it takes about 7 years to get rid of a collection, even if it's paid off, unless you go through credit repair, which you can get it removed. Right? There's different methods for that. So derogatory marks, stay away from those. Pay your stuff on time if you can. At a minimum, call up and negotiate. Yeah, call up and negotiate. And shout out to Lily for listening. She said they certainly don't go away. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the bills don't go away on their own. You've got to pay them off, pay them down, whatever you got to do. Then another one is inquiries. So try to avoid applying for too much credit at the same time. You know, so don't go out and try to apply for a home loan, then an auto loan, and then a credit card, all at the same time. Maybe space it out a bit. Maybe do one every 3 months or so, unless you desperately need some credit, which is fine. I've been there before, right? I've been there before. Especially when we were running our car rental business, I had a lot of inquiries. With dealers, they'll hit you about 3-4 times on one car. I'm like, holy cow. Imagine if you bought like 5 cars within 5 months. That's a lot of inquiries. It's about 20 or so inquiries. Yeah, I've been there before, right? So try to stay away from that if you can. And then total accounts. Total accounts means active accounts and inactive. So open accounts and closed accounts. So you do want to have a nice mix of debt. You know, don't go out and get debt just to get debt, right? But they just want to say, okay, you got the home loan, you got the auto loan, you got your credit card, maybe you got a student loan, right? They want to see a nice mix to see, just to get a feel for, Okay, are you just paying off the home just because you need somewhere to live, or are you also paying off the car? You're paying off the credit cards. You're paying off the student loan. That looks like a responsible person to me. You know, so just keep that in mind. And by the way, there's 3 credit bureaus or 3 credit reporting agencies, which are TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. A person can have a lot of credit scores, by the way. A lot of credit scores. So that's a bit on personal credit. We have a few questions here. I was told that if a company has charged off your account, you should not pay it. Is that correct? I wouldn't say so. I mean, well, first of all, if they've charged it off, hey, no need to pay it. They say, hey, you're good, you're done. I wouldn't necessarily pay it, but I would contact the bureaus, go through some credit repair so that you can get it wiped off your credit score. That's the next step. It doesn't just leave automatically. You do have to take some action and say, hey guys, this is not an active collections anymore. It's been charged off. Please remove it from my file. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that $1 trillion question. This is why you guys are here today. Learn about abundance, right? Abundant lifestyle, abundant thinking. Yes, it is on your credit score for 7 years or your credit report for 7 years until you go through credit repair to remove that negative item from your credit score via a letter. You do want to go through a professional for this. What happens is a back and forth process between a credit bureau and whoever sent you the collections. They just, you mail off the letter, you get something back, you mail it off, get something back, mail it off, get something back. Eventually, sometimes one letter is enough, but eventually they'll remove it because they say, oh, okay. The reason why it's there in the first place is because that company that puts you in collections, they're not going to spend their hard-earned dollars calling every credit bureau and say, hey, guys, this person is charged off. Let them go. No. They're going to require some action from you. You're going to have to put in some effort because this is on you, basically, right? This is a debt that they put on you. They're just generous enough to wipe it clean for you. However, they're not going to pay extra money because basically you've already cost them money to report. It costs them money to do this stuff. It costs them money to report stuff to the credit bureaus. And so they're not going to go out of their way above and beyond like that, where they're going to call up every bureau and say, hey, wipe it clean from them. You've got to go through credit repair. There's professionals that do that, and make sure that you get that removed from your credit report, at least. Great question, Lee. Lee asked a question. He asked the $250 question of the day. So we got a $1 trillion question today, but now we have a quadrillion, an empire, a true empire question today. And that, should you do this yourself, right? Can't you just go online, spend 5 minutes doing it yourself? And here's my advice to them. One time my toilet flooded, right? And yeah, I could have very well got some tools, fixed the toilet. But guess what? What if I literally unscrewed something and the water just bursted and just flooded the whole house? Oh yeah, that took me 5 minutes. But look how much damage it just did to me. What I did, I called my plumber. He came there. Spent about 30 minutes, right? Paid him a few bucks. He fixed the problem. Never had the problem ever since. Had I done it myself, I probably would have messed it up. I probably would have went on YouTube first of all. Spent about 3 hours researching on it. Maybe not that long, but something like that. Maybe about 3 hours since I've never done plumbing before in my life. I leave it to the experts. And then all of a sudden, let's just say I mess it up. Now I got to spend time cleaning the house. Then I got to bring in the plumber, who he's probably going to shake his head at me and charge me double, right, for the lesson. So to answer your question, my advice is to use a professional. Just think about what you do for a second. What is your business, Lee? You mind giving us a description? Okay. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate it, Lee. So Lee said he works in finance, but he's looking to get into the used car industry, which is great. Great industry, by the way. Great industry. So with that being said, by the way, I have some cars for sale. We can always talk offline about that. But that's another story. But basically, imagine if somebody came to you and, whatever it is you do professionally, they say, oh yeah, I can just go online. For example, taxes. I can go online and spend 5-10 minutes on TurboTax, which is cool. It's great, right? That's nice that you can do that. But just think through for a second. All these complexities that happen with the tax code, with COVID and all this stuff. Imagine if you had a professional walking you through the process, assuming they're a good professional. And they just do a good job for you, even if it took them 2 minutes to do it. So part of the whole abundance mindset is making sure that, yes, you can do it for free online. Cool, great. But is it better, more effective to have a professional do it to the point where it's no longer a burden? Because here's the thing, they might have reported to all 3 credit bureaus. Now you got to spend time answering and responding to all 3 credit bureaus. So my advice is, yes, you can do it on your own. Always understand the value of your time and the value of your money. I would challenge you to use a professional. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There you go. Appreciate it, Jeremy. And congrats on the house. Jeremy said he went from a 400 score to being able to buy a house. That's awesome, right? That's a testimonial right there. And yeah, and Lily actually, she said, pay it now or pay it later. Pay it now or pay it later. And trust me, if you're paying it later, you're gonna pay way more than you paid it now. So, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm. I mean, I would say so Jeremy. So first of all, my advice is anything. Try to keep the card balances as low as possible. Right? Don't necessarily accumulate a lot of credit card debt. Try to keep it below 10%. And also, if you can, use maybe just one credit card. And by the way, use the business credit card as a business owner. I wish we had more time to talk in depth about that concept. But it's if anything, my advice, try to only stick with maybe one credit card and then try to keep the balance as low as possible. Does that answer your question, Jeremy? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I wish we had more time for that, the personal credit segment. Today, of course, is about business credit. Why in the world did I spend so much time talking about personal credit before getting to business credit? Is because in order to get business credit, you've got to back it up with some personal credit, at least in the beginning. There are other ways to go about it, but at least the way that I personally did it was through that method. And when I started with business credit, I actually had to use somebody else's credit in order to build up the business's credit until my credit got decent. And we do have a question from Popcorcy Sam. He says, when you talk about professionals, who are you referring to? I mean, in general, I'm just talking about just in general, like when you use a plumber, for example, you're gonna hire a professional plumber. When you use a tax professional, you're gonna hire a professional tax preparer. If you're talking specifically credit repair, credit score, you have somebody on your Facebook Live known as Jerry Tolliver, who's with us today. You might want to reach out to her. Or you can go to BaduEnterprises.com, B-A-D-U Enterprises.com, and you will find a link to a business credit site, platform, that can help walk you through the process. It looks like Brandon has a question. What's up, Brandon? So the question from Brandon was, can you get a secured credit card or a credit line basically from for your business? Truthfully, yes, you can. And there's different ways to go about that. Me personally, I'm not an expert in the whole using your, doing a whole secure thing. I mean, I think it's cool. It's nice if you're absolutely in need of that. My advice is build up your personal credit. Get your personal credit to at least a 700 if you can. At a minimum, get it to about a 680, right? 680. And then start looking at different business credit sources. So today, I'm basically going to show you how I personally, myself, built business credit. There's tons of ways to go about it. And I challenge you to go to the website, BaduEnterprises.com, where you'll find a link to a site that teaches you more about how to get business funding. Today, we're going to scratch the surface a little bit. We're going to give you some basic. We're going to give you some 101, basically. The 202, you can go to the website and get that. But today is just basics, right? We started with personal credit concepts, and then we're going to move into business credit. Today, I guarantee you that by the end of this presentation tonight, if you've got a 680 or above credit score and you don't have any business credit, I can get you at least $30,000 worth of funding. So by the end of this, if you meet the qualifications, then you will. With that, let's go into nav.com, NAV.com. You want to write this website down because this is the site that you can use to track your business credit score profile. Get you some awareness. Awareness is key, by the way. In order to solve any problem, you must become aware of what the problem is to begin with. Before you find solutions to any problem, you must be aware of what the problem is in the first place. So, first and foremost, get your personal credit score right. If you don't have good personal credit, like I personally, then use other people's credit. How do you use other people's credit? Exchange for them ownership in your company. Exchange ownership in your company or some sort of agreement, whether it's a debt agreement, whatever it is you do, so that you can exchange. You can basically add them to your company so that you can apply for business credit, or they can apply for business credit on your behalf while you have control over the money. For example, back when I didn't have good personal credit, I had to leverage my mom's credit, for example, where I made her an owner of the company. And ironically, she still owns part of the company. So to get started with business credit, you do want to get to a 680, right? Try to get to a 680. If you're not at a 680, then yes, you will have to look into trade lines. You'll have to look into, those secured credit cards. I try my best to stay away from those. But hey, whatever you do to get started. Get it going. Find information. Looks like Brandon has another question. What's up, Brandon? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, great question, Brandon. So one thing about business credit is it doesn't go on your personal credit score or profile, except for one card that I know, which is Capital One. Every other card that I'm aware of does not report to your personal credit. So you can't build personal credit in that way where you're using other people's credit to build your business credit profile. Now, yeah, you brought up a good point. You can ask somebody to make you an authorized user on their personal credit card so that you can get their payment history and it shows some sort of history, But in a business credit card standpoint, you can, so yeah, in order for me to use the card, I need to be added as, an authorized user on the card, but it does nothing for my personal credit because I'm building business credit and not personal credit. Does that make sense, Brandon? Absolutely. All right. So nav.com is the site that we usually use to see what you qualify for. So what you want to do with Nav, we have it open on the Zoom here today. We have the homepage. You just want to hit, get started, for example. You register. Tell us a bit about your business. Tell us the zip code. Just basic information, nothing too crazy. They're going to pull your business credit, soft inquiry, please. They're going to pull your personal credit, soft inquiry, meaning it doesn't hit your credit score. And then you gain visibility over your personal credit score and also your business credit score. Now, with business credit, the only thing they really care about is payment history. As far as like building up the actual score itself, from what I know, it's just payment history. Make sure you're paying it on time. Yeah, they do care about how long your business has been in business and all that good stuff. By the way, you can get a business credit card even if you've been in business for only 1 day. 1 day, the day of opening, you can get a business credit card actually. How? Why? Because you're going to use your personal credit to get the business credit card. The only thing that's going to hit your credit score is a hard inquiry. That's about it. Right? On your personal credit score is just a hard inquiry. Everything else goes on a business credit profile once you get the card. So the payment history, the balance and all that does not affect your personal credit. So the mistake that I made personally, learn not from your own mistakes only, but better yet from the mistakes of others. The mistake that I made was I was using my personal credit to do flips and buy cars and all that stuff, for the car rental business. When I should have been just getting a business credit card, business credit, so that the stuff doesn't get reported on my personal credit, it gets reported on my business credit. Man, had somebody told me that before I made the mistake of basically maxing out all right, let's see if you need. Looks like we need somebody muted. Let me make sure. All right. So with that being said, we gotta make sure that we're using business credit first, right? So if you got a good credit score, use your business credit card. So if you got a good personal credit score, get a business credit card first of all. Even if you don't think you need one, just get one. My favorite out there, you want to write this down, is the Chase Ink. Chase Ink. Chase Ink card. Chase Ink I like a lot because it gives me a lot of points. There's 5% cash back, for example, on office supplies and, you know, utilities such as phone, internet, home office expense, you know, any sort of thing like that. And then also, for example, if you use Lyft, they give you about 5% cash back or so. So Chase Ink, you can get a nice limit. Nowadays, I think the going rate, it can get you about up to $20,000. So there goes your first $20,000 of the day. And then you can also get the PNC Cash card, business cash card. That one you won't find on Nav. So when you get on Nav, just like Credit Karma is going to give you recommendations on what you qualify for. And, you know, if something says excellent approval odds, well, you have a great chance of getting approved. So you do want to go ahead and get that business credit card, even if you don't need it, because as a business owner, you can write off everything: meals, travel, utilities, hair, makeup, right? Cell phone, books, you know, AirPods, whatever it is. If I buy this book, I get a tax deduction for it because it is helping me grow my business. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Got it. So you have, so do you just have a sole proprietorship or you have like an LLC? Hmm. Got it. So yeah, that means you have to start brand new then, unfortunately. So there's no way to like transfer, you know, business credit to another business per se, because that brand new, like when you start a business, it's like a newborn baby. So now it has its own social security number in the form of an EIN or tax ID number. It has its own credit profile. So yeah, and it's actually a good thing, right? So you're starting fresh. You're starting from scratch. So unfortunately, there's no way to transfer business credit from one business, you know, to another business per se. Mm, got it. Yeah, I would get a new EIN number because it's like a newborn baby. Um, so yeah, you want to start, because if that EIN number is found to be tied to your personal name, like your sole proprietorship, then that might lead to a Pearson to Corporate Veil lawsuit potentially, because you're using history from a sole proprietorship as opposed to your LLC. Yeah, no problem. No problem, Tina. Absolutely. All right, so really there's the PNC business cash card. You just go to pnc.com, you can apply for it. I believe you need a 680 or above to get that card. It gets you a nice limit. You know, I've seen about 5,000 or so. And by the way, there's no payments due or no interest on the card, I should say, for about 6 months. Actually, no, that one is about 9 months. Chase Inc. is 12 months, no payments, no interest for 12 months. And then you have the American Express, the business, um, the business gold card. So you do want to make sure you use the business credit card for all business expenses, write-offs, meals, travel, utilities, right? We have workshops on this too, by the way, on the tax deductions. I know today we're talking about business credit. So once you create a NAV account, you just go to the business credit card section. and then you see what you qualify for. You can't really get a business loan until you are at least 6 months. Well, actually, so there's a site called Kabbage, now called K-Servicing. They used to do 6 months in business. Now they don't even do business lines of credit anymore. By the way, all credit cards are lines of credit, but not all lines of credit are credit cards. So just keep that in mind. A line of credit is similar to a credit card where, you only use what you can borrow. Or basically, another way to put it is you only get charged when you borrow from the line. So you don't get charged a full amount. Like if Chase gave you a $50,000 line of credit, they're not going to charge you on $50,000 unless you use $50,000. So line of credit gives you the option to borrow, and options are good. It's always great to have options. So with that being said, are there any questions about the credit component? We spent about an hour or so on that. The next few minutes, I do want to spend some time talking about Wave, QuickBooks, and FreshBooks. But any questions on the business credit stuff before we move on? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lee asked a great question. He said that, do you need a DMB? Short answer is no, you don't need a DMB, but you should have one. Go on the Duns & Bradstreet website and just get one. It's free to get the number itself. They might try to charge you for other stuff, but the number itself is free. I would get one. I think it's good to have one. To be honest, I've never had issues with a business like getting approved for something without one, but I think it is good to have one for sure. Yeah, great question. You should definitely do the EIN before the DMB. As a matter of fact, I don't think you can get the DMB without the EIN. Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about some apps. So remember, if you can't keep track of your money, you don't have a business, you have what's called a hobby. How do you prevent that? You have to make sure you're utilizing the softwares, the apps. So the first one is Wave. Wave is a site. It is, it's a site that allows you, or a tool, I should say, that allows you to create invoices, professional looking invoices, process payments, and you can even do things such as run payroll. So Wave is a nice way to get started. One of the pros is that it's free. It's a free software. So Wave is free. It's easy to connect your bank account where it pulls all your transactions and then you start categorizing, and then it has a nice professional look and feel. The cons is that it's only for starters, right? It's not as fully integrated as QuickBooks, and then also it's very limited in features. So I have a few clients that use Wave. I tell them, hey, it's okay, right? Do whatever you got to do, but when the business grows and becomes the $1 million or $1 billion company that you truly desire it to be, then you will need something that's a bit more robust. All right. The next one is FreshBooks. So FreshBooks it's a pretty good software, nothing wrong with it. It allows you to invoice, track expenses, track time, accept credit card payments, and create financial reports, including the profit and loss statement. The pros is that it's a good comprehensive package. It's real nice accounting software. And then it also has a nice professional look and feel, which is great. The cons is that it's actually more expensive than QuickBooks, from experience at least. So my advice is, if something is more expensive than the best, you might want to just go with the best, which leads into QuickBooks. This is my personal favorite. Full disclosure, I am a certified QuickBooks Pro advisor. And I used to sit on the Intuit, the board, the council of Intuit, or QuickBooks, I should say. And so we've helped develop this product in a big way, in a massive way. A lot of the stuff that you see on there today is stuff that we've developed over time. All right. And Jameer says, he said, QuickBooks works wonders. There you go. You got a testimonial right there. You only want the best when you're dealing with this stuff. So QuickBooks allows you to automatically download and categorize transactions. participate in online billing, create professional invoices and estimates, upload receipts. You should always keep your receipts through the phone or the app. And then you can create customized financial reports and also track inventory. Pros of QuickBooks, it's a full-blown accounting software. It has everything all in one. Your invoicing system, your receivable system, your payment processing system. It has everything all in one, essentially. Then it has a nice professional look and feel. So it's very, very nice. You know, it has a very, very nice look, basically, and you can send professional looking invoices. It's rated the best software in the industry, hands down, so definitely take advantage of that. It also has very competitive pricing, and you can get discounts if you're working with somebody like myself who has certain QuickBooks accounts at discounted packages. Then, in my opinion, number one, it saves business owners a ton of time. 10 hours or so a month on average. Imagine what 10 hours a month can do for your business. So it saves you a lot of time. No more, manually entering receipts and all of that. You just link your bank account, and then it's gonna pull the transactions, and you're just putting, okay, meals, travel, utilities, this is income. It's very, very easy to use. So just something to keep that in mind. One of the cons about QuickBooks is that it does require some training if you want to learn all the great features. And we do offer QuickBooks training if you're ever interested in that. It's only an hour training that I think you need. And then QuickBooks has a great support team that can answer questions for you. And they have a lot of videos and tutorials that can help walk you through the process as well. All right, last slide of the day, get paid. That's the name of the game. Always find ways to get paid. First of all, utilize the apps. FreshBooks, QuickBooks, Square, PayPal, Bitcoin, whatever it is. They allow you to accept payments on these platforms. For example, in our firm, Badu Tax Services, we bill typically through QuickBooks. So if you're a customer of ours or a client of ours, you would usually see a QuickBooks invoice. Next point is very important. Remember the abundance mindset, not scarcity mindset. Never run a cash-only business. Cash only is scarcity. I'm sorry. All right, we're in a digital age, especially with COVID. These slides, by the way, were created before COVID. Can you imagine, like, during COVID and in the aftermath, if we have an aftermath of COVID? We're in a digital age where most people, if not all people nowadays that I've met, they don't like to pay with physical cash. They want to pay with a card. Over 90% of people would prefer to pay with a card nowadays. So why would you run a cash-only business? To lose potentially 90% of revenue. Offer options, payment options. Yeah, you can accept cash, that's fine. Check, that's okay. We don't really accept those. And cash, definitely not. ACH is okay. So, they get your route, you get their route and account number. Credit card and debit card in the future. We're actually having a conversation about this yesterday over family gathering. And Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the future. If you don't know what Bitcoin is, Google it, first of all. Go on the website, jeffbadu.com. Read the article that I wrote on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Because this is the future. This is how payments will be accepted. Don't let me be the one to say that you should have known this 10 years from now. Right? Because it is the future. Bitcoin right now is going for, last I checked, about $60,000 a coin. 60,000. I remember when Bitcoin was at 17 cents. Now it's at $60,000. Is this valuable? I guarantee you it is. Understand that it's a cost of doing business. Yeah, 3% fee, so what? Right? If somebody has a 90% likelihood of paying you, 90% more, I should say, likelihood of paying you when you accept a card, why wouldn't you do that? You're losing money. Understand the cost of doing business. It's very, very important. And then send invoices and reminders. Send invoices and reminders. Can anybody guess what day of the week is the best day to send an invoice reminder? For a magical $100 bill. Anybody, what's the best day of the week to send an invoice reminder? Good try. Good try. Anybody? There you go. Friday's payday. Friday's payday. Friday's payday. Friday is the best day to send an invoice reminder because you're more likely to get paid. Of course, we use that in our firm because we heard about that. Yeah, Friday. Friday's payday. Always evaluate your accounts receivable policy. So if you're 100% payments on time, then you're too strict. You're way too strict. You got to be a bit lenient. But if you're like 10% payments on time, then you're way too lenient. So you got to find a balance. I would say 80 to 90% payments on time. That's a pretty good business. That's a very good business. Anything that's higher than that, you're a bit too strict with your policy. So you got to get loose a little bit. You're leaving money on the table, basically. With that being said, we got about 5 more minutes to go. I promise we'll be out of here by 7:30, even though we started late. I hope you guys gained some value out of this presentation today and also throughout our workshops and our classes. I'm always here to help if you need anything. My email address is jb, once again, jb@badoutaxservices.com. That's jb@badoutaxservices.com. Our office phone is 773. Let me see, I got this. All right. Yeah, so jb@badoutaxservices.com is the phone number. The email address for the firm. And then the office number, if you want to call directly into our office, it is 773-819-5675. That's 773-819-5675. So let me put that in the chat here. 819-5675. You can also, if you want, you can text that number as well. I do thank you all for joining. And somebody asked a question, is TurboTax a good tool to file taxes? I think it is. It's a good tool. Just like a hammer is a good tool to crack something open, right? The question is it the best tool for you? Should you be using that hammer? That's the $1 million question of the day. So with that, I think Shannon has a question. What's going on, Shannon? Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. All right, Shannon. So Shannon asked a great question. What do you do to improve your accounts receivable policy? First of all, collect payments up front if you can. First and foremost. Yeah, last year, believe it or not, actually no, 2021 was the first year that we started collecting tax prep, at least 50% deposit up front. I mean, it was silly for us to not to. We're like, okay, well, the industry says this, but why don't we just flip things around a bit? Collect some payment up front. When you get somebody committed, they're more likely to follow through and to actually pay you the rest of the money because they have skin in the game now. Yeah, you provide a service to somebody, they can, and you don't collect payment. Yeah, they can very well run away because they do have an obligation to pay you, but what stipulations do you have? Yeah, you can go up to the crib, do whatever you got to do. That's, at your own discretion. If somebody owes you money, they're legally obligated to pay you. So whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But definitely send them an invoice reminder at a minimum. For us, we do it every Friday. It's on autopilot every Friday because Friday's payday. And then if they don't pay after a month, we send them an email, a kind email, right? Saying, hey, we sent reminders, we have received payment, just want to make sure everything is good. Please pay this invoice. Here's the link to pay. Sometimes they didn't get it for whatever reason. So yeah, do whatever you got to do to get paid. Getting paid is the name of the game. My advice is if you don't have a upfront payment policy, do that. do something like that where you collect at a minimum a deposit, even if it's a 30% deposit. For us, tax prep is 50%. For tax planning, it's 100% upfront, meaning they can't run away with the money. So hopefully, does that answer your question, Shannon? Absolutely. All right, looks like Bernita has a question. That is correct. NAV does check your business credit. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, NAV is going to give you transparency over all your credit report or your credit scores. I don't know exactly what they use to check your credit. Maybe they have an Experian account or something. But yeah, I mean, NAV does give you pretty much what you need to see in your business credit profile. Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately. And so, yeah, every bank, some banks have their own internal system where they can go in and pull your credit directly. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And Marva actually real quick asked the question, multiple businesses on NAV with my info. Yes, you do need a separate account for each business. I don't know if that's the question. And somebody asked about FICO. So yeah, FICO is the name of the scoring system that determines your credit score. So FICO is not an actual bureau or anything like that, or an actual FICO is just a scoring system. That's all. So you can have a FICO score. You can have, it's just a score. That's all it is. Nothing more than that. Correct. So there's the FICO. There's a bunch of credit scores out there. It's not just FICO even. You can have a lot of credit scores. FICO is just one of them. Yeah, all of it. But if you see on your Credit Karma you got a 680 across everyone, then that's pretty good, for sure. All right, we'll do maybe one more question and then we gotta wrap it up. It's 7:31 in Chicago. All right. Last call for questions, going once, going twice. So, to the Chicago, go ahead, Lee. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lee asked the question, how does collateral play a part in your credit score? It actually doesn't. But if you have like an equipment that's worth something, it's paid off, then yeah, you can tell the bank that and they might give you a loan against that collateral. So it doesn't directly impact your credit score report. It just gives you an option to get a loan against that collateral. So that's known as a collateralized loan, essentially. All right. So with that being said, I do want to thank you guys for joining tonight. I hope you gained some value out of this. To the Chicago Urban League class via Zoom, to our Instagram, to our Facebook. If you need anything from me, please let me know. Always here to help. Always here to answer questions or anything like that. Of course, we do offer services that go deep into some of the stuff that we talked about even today. I challenge you to go to BaduEnterprises.com for information on our services, and then JeffBadu.com for the infinite resources that we have available for you. Some of them, most of them actually, which are free. So with that, I pray that you have a great night. I personally got quite a bit of stuff to do because my day got delayed. due to this closing. Right, no harm, of course. It happens. But I do hope that you have a great night, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon. All right, see you guys. Absolutely. Hope you have a great night.